GolfNewsRI presents the Golf Dudes Podcast. Here are the dudes.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Golf Dudes Podcast. Happy Thursday. I'm Joe Calabro, CEO and co-founder of GolfNewsRI. Joining us today is Kirkbrae legend John Auclair. Thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully that was a little tongue-in-cheek, Kirkbrae legend, but I'm
not.
happy to be here. And before we started, I think I can speak for most of my my RIJ peers. Thank you for doing this. This is really fun to watch these. Honored to be on one finally. So thanks for doing this. You keep Rhode Island golf in the forefront for all of us.
Well, we're doing the best we can. I appreciate the kind words and the support from yourself and everybody. That's been huge to have the top amateurs kind of support us and text back when I text them something stupid.
Yeah.
Or, I texted Bobby Leopold last night about the Devil's Elbow thing that he's playing down in Punta Cana. He texted me back, with information. So thanks so much for that. No, I'm excited to do this. Listen, we've done this podcast a million times at the bar. We just didn't record it. So now we're
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we're kind of recording it. But what I find, what's awesome about you is you know everything. You've done so much. You've won so much. You've accomplished a lot in your career. After all these years, I mean, is golf still fun for you? You're still having just as much fun now as you did when you were a kid.
I hope no one's eating while they're watching this because they just spit up their food with that little introduction. It is. I can't. If I'm not playing golf, I'm thinking about the next time I'm going to play, or thinking about the last time I played and what I should have done better. It's obviously a very important part of my life, and I'm having maybe more fun now than ever. I think as I get older, I have relaxed a little bit. That'll get other people spitting up their food, but not seriously. I keep it a little bit better in perspective. It's important to me, but it's not the most important thing. So you have to. It took me about 50 years to get to the point where I can play poorly and accept it and still have fun. Earlier in my career, if I played poorly, no one around me was going to have fun. So I think I'm better for the most part, but I absolutely still have fun doing it.
And you're still playing at a high level, even with. I mean, you've been open about it, so I hope I'm not speaking out of school. But obviously, you have a hip injury. And you're still playing competitively. You had a competitive summer. Obviously, you would have liked to flip some of those results, I'm sure. But you've had a competitive summer. You played it really well, and you're still playing at a high level.
I did, yeah, and I'm playing against the same guys I played with all my career. We're just all over 50 now, 55 now, playing in the seniors. A couple of years ago, a couple of friends, my son Brad and Mike Perry, my friend from Warwick, basically said, get up to the front tees, play against your senior peers. My first couple of years as a senior, I played the mid-am tees, and I tried to compete for the tournament and play against the seniors, and obviously at a disadvantage from those the back tees. So I pretty much play against those guys now. In some tournaments, you don't have a choice. The Rhode Island Am is against everyone, but yeah, the hip's getting fixed. So I've had a very good year actually. I had a chance to win every tournament from the senior division anyway. Struggled 3 of the 4 times in the second round. Now I don't want to blame the hip for it, but I can tell the second day, especially at Quinnitisset in the mid-am, I had to carry my bag the first day. They didn't allow carts, so I was a little bit the hip was fatigued the second day. The pain happens after the ball is gone, so it's not really. It shouldn't be an excuse. You took a video of me at Montauk on the first tee. And I when I viewed it, I could see that I was protecting the hip, but long after the ball was gone. So hopefully I don't have to learn a new swing next year when it's fixed. But I am looking forward to playing pain-free. But despite it, despite the disappointing second rounds in 3 of the 4 tournaments, I still had a fairly successful season. I made the tri-state team and unfortunately couldn't play because of a work commitment, but I'm really looking forward to next year.
Absolutely. So I want to go backwards. You grew up in Woonsocket in the 70s and early 80s. When was golf? When did golf become your thing? Were you always gonna play golf? I know your dad was a big golfer. Your brother obviously is a very good golfer. Was it always gonna be golf for you, or was there something else? Kind of. I know you played baseball for a
yeah,
little while, but
like a normal kid growing up, I played everything. So my dad was a member at the old Woonsocket Country Club. It then became Woonsocket, Blackstone Valley, now New England. So I took lessons when I was 5 years old. I started playing. I started playing a lot when I was 9, 10, 11, and but I still played hockey. I played baseball, a little bit of basketball, tennis. I did a little bit of everything. Back then, we didn't focus on one thing. We played a little bit of everything. When I was in Pony League, is when I decided I'm focusing on golf. I had to miss what was going to be a fun round of golf with my dad, Mike Palazzini, and his dad, and we're going to ride in carts, and I was going to be able to drive the cart, and that was a big deal. You know,
it was a big deal for me when I was able to drive the cart back in the day.
yeah, we lugged our bags, so I had to leave and not play to go to a Pony League practice, and I was hanging around dusty Cold Spring Park in Woonsocket. They handed out our uniforms that day, and I went home and walked to the coach's house, which was not far from mine, and handed the uniform back, and that was at the end of my baseball career. So around 12, 13 is when I really sort of dedicated myself to golf. I still played, you know, I played high school hockey. I played high school soccer. I played intramural sports in college, but golf was the key sport from about that point on.
So when you started really focusing in on golf, like who were the guys? You know, everyone looks at Tiger Woods and tries to emulate him in some way, including myself. But who were the guys that you looked up to when you really started like, focusing on golf and kind of studying the game? Who were the guys? Who were your guys?
For me, it was always Jack Nicklaus. He had a famous instruction book called Golf My Way. Read it cover to cover 100 times. Jack was in his prime when I was growing up. You know, he won the 1980 U.S. Open at Baltusrol. He and Weisskopf shot 63 in the first round, and it's all we could talk about, you know, at golf practice and over at Woonsocket Country Club. Jack, you know, everyone loved Tom Watson, Seve, but early on, it was I was a big Jack Nicklaus fan.
And so you go to high school. Was one of your favorite things that we did was the Woonsocket Dynasty story.
Yeah,
I was actually just going back through that earlier today and preparing for this. You go to Woonsocket, Coach Palazzini. I know you told some good stories about him, but you get All-State as a freshman. You know, and you contribute to like we wrote about the dynasty at Woonsocket High School that started with Charlie Smith and somewhat ended with your kind of class. Talk about memories from that. I know, like I said, I know you love that story that we did a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was fun. John McLaughlin likes to tell everyone that I'm the 50th best golfer to ever come out of Woonsocket High School. Yeah, we had a good team. We had graduated Jimmy Beauregard, Steven, Scott Tavernier, Chris Barilek before I got there. It was a 3-year high school then. So in 9th grade, I probably would have started maybe in the 4th spot, but you couldn't play as a 9th grader because we're in a different school. I was actually not even in the Woonsocket school system. I went to Catholic junior high, but when I got there in 10th grade, even though we lost those good players, Mike Palazzini, myself, Bill Mather, and Steve Plays, Paul Mercier, a bunch of very good players. A lot of it because of the caddy program at the old Woonsocket Country Club, like Lincoln and Cumberland does here these days. The caddy program here at Kirkbrae has done a great job to seed those schools. But yeah, we didn't make the playoffs my freshman year. We won the Northwest Division as a junior. Got to the state semifinals. Lost a tough match to Tollgate, and I think they ended up winning the state championship that year. Then we graduated 4 of those guys I just said. It was just Mike Palazzini and I our senior year. So we kind of slipped back a little bit. Still a good team, better than most, but we couldn't match up to Cumberland at the time, who had moved to our division. Mark Zions and Darren Baluk were the 2 stars there. John Simmons. I hate Chris Bohack. I hate mentioning names because I'm going to get people mad when I forget a name. But yeah, the high school was a blast, and I was disappointed. The way we picked All-State back then is you played for it, right? It wasn't coach's selection. It was the way you finished in the state tournament. And I did make second team All-State my freshman year. Well, 10th grade,
Right.
sophomore technically, but we called them freshmen. We called it the 10th grade at Woonsocket were freshmen. I didn't play. I had a bad hole in the next 2 years, and I didn't make All-State. I was, made all division and to get to the state tournament, but probably one of the bigger disappointments. But I had fun. I actually went to Bryant to play golf and ended up only playing for 3 semesters before I left the team to actually go to school and get grades. And I knew golf wasn't going to be my livelihood. And the team really missed a lot of school, and my parents paid. I didn't have to pay for school. I didn't think I should also tax them by giving me spending money and not working. So I quit. Knowing I'd play golf the rest of my life, I didn't feel like I had to play. And college golf at the time was not. It's just a bunch of random tournaments. It wasn't the organization. It was it's different now, but it was disappointing back then. It wasn't the standings and league and the match play the way we had it in high school, which I thought was pretty nice. We played 18-hole matches back then. Match play 18 holes.
Now they only play 9 holes. High school.
Yeah, now it's 9 holes medal play, right?
Yeah, correct. And then the state championships obviously 18 holes, but the individual matches themselves, they don't even consider them really matches. They're just shooting scores for stroke average. So that's interesting. So one of the things I was going to ask, because obviously you were a really good player, you were at the top of your game. So pros was never something you even remotely thought about.
Oh no, I thought about it a lot, but that was it was something I actually was planning to do until I turned 16 and got a car and got a girlfriend and said, I don't need to be beating balls all day. I want to go to the beach and have some fun. And in fact, my dad would ask me, he would notice, like, hey, well, did you play today? No, I went to the beach with, and then I'd play in a tournament and, wouldn't shoot the scores he was expecting as well. You get what you get out of it, what you put into it. You're not going to get where you want to go if you don't put the time in. And about then I said, you know what, you're absolutely right. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm going to play golf my whole life again. That's really said that 10 times so far, but I'm not willing to, I don't think I am willing to pay the price to get there. I want to have fun playing golf. I don't want it to be my job, and 1 in a million succeed anyway. So, at the time,
especially at that time, right? Like now, I mean, still 1 in a million succeed, but at that time, going pro in golf was not what it is. There wasn't so as easy. I say easy. It's not easy, but there are paths and different things you can do to kind of get there. There's a million mini tours. There's obviously the Q schools that we've been covering, and obviously there's PGA Tour Canada, Corn Ferry Tour. Back then, that wasn't necessarily the case.
There
wasn't the case at all.
125 guys that could make a living doing it in the United States, and probably only 30 or 40 of them really made a good living. So it was easy when I was a kid. To gauge yourself. I started playing against Brad Faxon, Billy Andrade, Eddie Kirkbrae, and they waxed me every time I played. So if I can't beat, I have to be among the best here. Dave Stordinger was another example of a kid that was just a tremendous player. And I was a rung below those guys. So it wasn't a tough decision. I probably would never have made it. And as I got settled in my career and I was able to join Kirkbrae in '92, I started playing a lot more golf and got back into competitive golf. And had played a lot of good golf back in the 90s and around the 2000 up to, it's 2005, 6, I was still playing some pretty good golf. And, you try to judge yourself against the best, maybe 99, 2000. I was probably as good as anyone. I finished second in points. I made the semifinals of the state AM. I was, now the talent pool now is just way beyond what we played against then. So, it was an idea I had when I was a kid, early, younger, and then kind of got out of my system by the time I was maybe 16, and then decided that we'll have fun playing golf and not do it as a profession.
But you've had that confidence in yourself, like all you guys do. That if you really kind of put your mind to it, you might have a chance.
I thought that early when I was younger, and when I started playing against
Those guys,
Andrade and Fax
Right.
and saw how, and Billy and Eddie Kirby, to see how good they were, it was humbling,
Mhm.
So still, I still feel like there's areas of the game I can work on and improve, but it's I don't know, maybe it sounds like a cop out, didn't want to try, but I think it was more realistic. I got pretty good grades at Bryan. I got a good job out of school, and have had a good career, and have had nice work-life balance in my career, where I could play a lot of golf and play competitively for a long time.
No, it's not a cop out. It's not easy. I mean, we've been following the Q schools for the locals, and these kids all missed the cut at stage one of Q school. The cut was 11 under par for 4 rounds.
I know.
That's just to make the cut. That's not
Right.
winning the tournament.
Right.
That's just making the cut. So it wasn't easy back then. It certainly is not easy today. One thing I did want to hit on, and we're gonna get to Kirkbrae. You were there for the evolution of Winnisookit to Woonsocket Country Club to was there one in between the New England Country Club?
Yeah, Blackstone Valley, it was in between Woonsocket Golf Club. That was the
What so
evolution.
what was that? I mean, you played there a lot. Obviously, that was kind of your home course at high school. What was going through that like? Because now you don't even see clubs that go through that. Now they just close. It feels like so.
Yeah, there was a lot of stories around. Winnisocket was a private club, and it was the premier private club. Kirkbrae didn't exist yet. Kirkbrae was built in the '60s, and all the doctors, lawyers, and a TV man, my dad, were members at Winnisocket, and little by little, I think maybe Kirkbrae may have had a deal to attract some of them, and as that place sort of hit its decline, they hit some financial troubles. It was sold. It went bankrupt. Some members tried to buy it. Ultimately, I think the bank took it over, and then Archie Boulay, the coach at Bryant, bought it and renamed it Woonsocket Golf Club sometime around 77, 78, and got kind of had a lot of good bones to work with, and Archie did a nice job for a number of years, but the place seemed to be cursed. Whoever owned it, some bad things happened. Archie lost a son in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad used to say the place has got a little curse on it. Eventually Archie just couldn't keep up with what was required to run a golf course. He didn't have the maintenance team. He didn't have the money. He didn't have enough public play. And a guy named Jules Doliner bought it and renamed it Blackstone Valley Country Club. He sold some of the outskirts, those condos on Payne Street with the 10th hole, the old 10th hole, and he sold some land, redesigned a little bit of the golf course to do that. And maybe the only guy to ever make any money with the place. And then he eventually sold it to the developers that created New England Country Club. They hired Hale Irwin back in the mid '80s, and he redesigned it. And my dad, my brother, myself, and Mike Palazzini were the first tee time on the first day that New England Country Club opened.
Oh, wow.
And we were enamored with it. It was gorgeous. The place had been maturing for 3-4 years. There was some legal battles between, I think, the two brothers that developed it. It was supposed to be the golf community, beautiful private club with the housing, and Steve Grogan and Jim Rice were committed to houses there, and that never happened. They ran into some legal battles. So the course just matured, and they cut it and groomed it, but no one played it. Although when we went out there were some divots, so I'm sure the kids snuck on and workers played it. But it was really a special golf course. It's still a beautiful golf course. It's just, it's not the private club it was back in its heyday when it was Winnisocket.
When you play there, do you still see Woonsocket? Do you still see signs of it anyway? I know
Boy, it's hard. It's funny. A few of the holes were off the property, so there's none of them over there. And every hole that Hale Irwin used, he flipped the tee and the green. So there's a few that are still, the hole is the hole, but none of them is the same as it was. Like the old fourth hole is now the 18th. I don't know. I never know which is the first hole, if it's the par 5 down below or the one that goes up the hill towards the plaza. But the one that I think of as 18 with the pond right in front of the green, that's the old fourth hole. It used to go the other way.
Mhm.
So, and all the other holes that have been that were there, they've been long since reclaimed by nature. That you don't have any real evidence of seeing the holes anymore. I know that they were there, so when I go, I can,
Right.
my mind,
You
I
see,
know
you see it in your
yeah.
head. It's just not physically
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
obviously. So you come to Kirkbrae, and you said 92. Kirkbrae obviously wasn't what it is now, safe to say. What was Kirkbrae in 92? What kind of brought you here, if you will, and
Yeah.
what was that whole experience like coming here?
Well, I lived in Cumberland, and so very, very
Close
close.
enough, yeah.
Kirkbrae was always, and when I was growing up at Woonsocket and Blackstone Valley, Kirkbrae was then the elite private club in Northern Rhode Island. It had shifted, and it was in very good shape. We had the old clubhouse. What attracted me here was the junior executive membership. I didn't have, I was doing well, but I didn't have unlimited funds, and they had a great deal to attract some younger golfers and younger members. And I was I was the first class of that junior executive program, and it's turned out to be hugely successful. Right. I think the next year we hired Mark Richard from Wannamoisett, and had a lot to do with Kirkbrae turning around and the conditions. I never thought the condition, I'm coming from playing out of college 5-6 years of public course golf. So I came to Kirkbrae with starry eyes. I thought the place was outstanding. Some of the members thought it declined a little bit, but Mark snapped it right back. And then all the changes we've done over the years, there's only, I think there's 2 Cornish greens left here, maybe 3, really only 2, I think 6 and 16. The rest have been redone, or softened at least. So yeah, it was that program. It was financially feasible for me. Yeah, never looked back. Unfortunately, I joined in May of 92, like late May, and June 6th or something of that year, I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing basketball in my yard.
Oh, geez.
And the next time I played golf at Kirkbrae without a giant cast on my leg was in October. So I missed that first year. They actually gave me half off. They said, "We're not going to charge you a full membership." I still played a lot with the cast. That people would make fun of me. I had a big giant cast. I'm out there trying to play golf, but I wouldn't give in. And then the next year, was really my first year of being a full member and taking advantage of the club in 93.
One guy that always interests me is I never met him, and he's kind of like he's obviously a legendary figure. He just passed away, I think last year, if I'm not mistaken. It was Mark St. Martin. He was kind of Kirkbrae's first, it feels like to me, he was kind of Kirkbrae's first kind of superstar player, kind of back during his time. You obviously know him, you overlapped with him. What was he like? How influential was he?
Yeah, he was the best. Mark St. Martin, he left in 91, moved to Florida. I came in 92. So we didn't overlap at Kirkbrae. But he was an absolute gentleman, awesome, great golfer, one of the best pair of hands I've ever seen. I got to see Mark and play against Mark when I was younger as a junior. When I tried to qualify for the amateurs and things like that. There wasn't a bunch of tournaments like there is now, but by the time I got to Kirkbrae, Mark had moved away. But his legacy, if you're going to talk about a Kirkbrae legend, that's the guy. I would say Mark St. Martin and Eddie Kirkby are the two that stand above anyone else that has been through here. If you talk about members, obviously Stan Beluga, very important figure, and others, but yeah, Mark was he's a tough act to follow, because he was just such a perfect gentleman and a great guy, and would always kind of, I don't know if he wasn't around that often, but when he would visit in the summer, he would kind of look me up and see how I was doing, and felt like I had a mentor there. And he's a great guy. And Eddie's always been good to me too. Eddie Kirby is I got to play again with Eddie a lot when I joined. He was still here, and if you think you can strike a golf ball, go play with Eddie, go play with Mark. As far as the ball striker goes, Eddie in particular, he just didn't miss a shot. He was to think that Eddie could not be a multiple winner on tour after watching him play is just mind-boggling. How good he is, and just an example of what it takes to make it in this game. To tribute to guys like Andrade and Faxon and guys coming from the north where we don't play all year round and still making it and having a great career.
And Eddie still plays well. I watched him. I was there for the NEPGA championship that was at Kirkbrae, I think in September, if I'm not mistaken. I watched with him for a few holes, and he still, I mean, all these guys do, but he still stripes the ball.
Yeah, it's impressive to
nothing.
watch. They're like machines. It just comes off the club. It makes a different sound. It has the exact same ball flight every time. It's amazing. It's cool to watch.
All right, your club championship run. Your name's on the wall like 50 times out there, just down the hall. Not
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Not literally 50 times, but close. 1994 is your first one. 2016 was your last one. What was 1994 John Auclair like? Studley?
That was first, like going back to Mark St. Martin, Mark won 11. I actually won 13.
Yep.
Those 13 aren't close to his 11. He played in a very deep club. I was sort of fortunate to win a lot of my club championships in the middle of the two very deep periods of great golfers at Kirkbrae. We're in one now. Winning the club championship today is like winning half a state amateur, almost.
Yeah.
Winning it back then in 1990, 85 or so. I think when Mark beat Eddie at Pawtucket in the finals. I think that year there were only 31 qualifiers because the defending champ got the number 2 seed then. Of the 31 qualifiers for match play, 17 of them were Kirkbrae members, just to give you an idea how deep the club was then. I kind of snuck in 92 and 93 and won my first club championship in 94. And I don't want to disparage the guys I played against. You have to beat them, you have to win,
Right.
You have to play some good golf, but I did not beat the caliber of golfer. Anyone I beat wouldn't take that as I don't believe would take that as I'm being unfair. It's just that it's just a fact that the club was very deep way back when, and it's very deep again now. But that first one was special. You want to get that out of the way, and then I ended up winning two more after that, and then I kind of lost in 94, 5, 6. So 97, I kind of lost my fire and lost in the first round to Bobby Corio, who was a good player at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I lost that match, I realized I don't like that. I don't want to be the club champ. I don't want to, I don't want to be the former club champ. So I kept the run going for a little while. We had some good players. Danny Pilkington was always a good player. We had Mike. Oh, for God's sake, I hope he's not watching this. I'm trying to think of some of the, the last one was special too. I had to beat Tommy McCormick in that one. So that was that was in my 50s. I won that one in 16. I was 50, 51, 52.
Mm-hmm.
That was a special one because I feel like I that win against Tommy, who was, an elite player in the state, and kind of that one really counted. I had to, and now we've got studs here now. We've got I think Kirkbrae had 4 of the top 13 in points. Larry Lafauci, Tommy McCormick, Hamilton, Brad Voy, he's a corporate member, doesn't get to play in club championship, right, but still Kirkbrae member. And then I made I was pretty high up in the senior points. So we got a deep and not to mention Derek Audette and Pat Healy and Nicky Sal and Sam Lombardi. You're going to hear those names. They're good players and tough to beat at Kirkbrae. So I don't want to keep going because I'm going to forget some people and get in trouble. But I mean, Mike and Larry and Tommy are they're elite state players. They recently won. All 3 have won recent RIJ championships. They're all 3 made the tri-state team. It's a deep club now. It was a deep club way back then, and my little run happened in the middle.
But you're still out of be playing good golf, like you said. You were on top of your game. you get to the Northeast Amateur in 2000. I know you have a funny story about that. You played good in the first round, and then not so
Yeah.
much after that. But what was the Northeast Amateur? I mean, obviously at the time that was still a big deal.
Oh, yeah,
to
that
play
was,
in that,
and it's hard for a Rhode Islander to get in that.
Right.
I got the invite based on finishing second in the points the year before. I don't know that person gets an invite anymore. I'd have to
I don't believe
ask Ben Tudhill that, but yeah, I got paired with I think Ryan Hibble. He's a golf coach,
Oklahoma.
division, yeah, Oklahoma golf coach, very good player. He was in high school at the time.
Mhm.
Had a
I believe he played on the same high school team as Bubba Watson.
oh, did
I believe that I read
Ah.
Bubba Watson's book, and he talks about playing with Ryan Hibble.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, so I had a good round. I actually bogeyed the last two holes to shoot 69, and I was pretty close. I think the leader that year shot 67. So I never forget, after I was done, Billy Lenny walked by, and he went, good playing. And then the next day I was paired. Lucas Glover also shot 69 the first day, so we were paired together. Pretty, close to the lead. I was only a few groups behind the leaders. And my friend Mike Palazzini decided he was going to come watch. He wanted to see how how much better can these kids be. You made the state, the semifinals in the AM. You made a couple of U.S. Open qualifiers. I was playing some good golf. So I just had to come and see, how much better could these guys be. So he watched Lucas and I play for 18 holes, and I think the second day I shot like 76, and Lucas Glover he's played, you can imagine he's a Clemson star, and hit every ball right where he was looking, and you couldn't see the ball land because it was right in line with the pin every time. And we're having lunch after, and Mike told me the story how he wanted to see. I'm just curious, how much better they're way better than you. So thanks, Mike. So we finished our hamburger and we went home, and I came back for 2 more days. It's kind of similar, shot in the mid-high 70s, and didn't finish last. I broke 300, which was one of the things going in. I was hoping to do. It's a tough golf course, and the difference in the way it was set up in the first day, where they had the members play with the amateurs, a little bit of a pro-am kind of a format, versus the Sunday pins and the Sunday tees and the Sunday rough, which hadn't been touched, and it was a very different golf course, but always a bear to play one way.
So that's interesting. The first round of the Northeast Am used to be like a pro-am back then.
Yeah.
Because now it's just 4 straight
So,
stroke players.
Yeah, Ryan and I played with 2 members, and they probably have to, pony up some dough to play to support the tournament. I'm not sure how long. That's the only time I got invited. They changed the rules. It was a lot tougher. Denny Glass was the chairman back then. I probably didn't do anything to deserve it. I didn't win the state AM or anything like that, and I never finished second or first or second in points again after that. That was 99 and 2000 were my best 2 years.
Fascinating, because now we've been lucky to see Hamilton play in the amateur on the last couple of years, and some of the obviously Rhode Island guys get in. Bobby Leopold is a fixture in that tournament. We got to talk about one of the greatest matches I've ever watched here. You and Tommy. I forgot. I was trying to look at the board, trying to remember what year it was. Was it 2017?
19.
2019?
Yeah.
You guys went extra holes, a 36-hole championship final. This was before I was doing GolfNewsRI, so I didn't exactly have the whole video thing going yet. But you you guys both playing at the top of your game. Tommy's obviously was playing really well. You were playing really well. You made like I don't think it was an exaggeration, like a 4 or 5 foot putt on 18.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, maybe like
longer than that?
7, 8. I got it on video. It looks like, maybe like from here to the table with maybe.
That was the old 18th green, right?
Yeah.
That putt's not even there anymore. I feel like it was the old 18th green.
That's a good question. I don't remember. I kind of think it was this one. 19. That's only 4 years ago. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was this green. It was back. Pin was back left, and I was pin high. I actually hit it to the right on the fringe, and I decided to chip it up there. I had a lot of fringe to go over to get it up to that top level, and I pitched it up there and rolled it. It was a good shot. I 5, 6 feet, maybe like that. And I hit a good putt. You could see in the video, Mike Bradshaw had the video. I walked it in and we went to one.
And I think Tommy missed the putt to win it on one. Tommy missed the putt to win on one. Again, it wasn't like a give me by any stretch. And then he went. I think he closed it out.
He birdied too.
on
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, it was
But that was
Tommy and I are good friends, and we would text each other. He called me the next day or 2 days later and says, "Can we keep playing? That was more fun." We really had, it was a lot of mutual respect and really good golf. And he's a class act. And that's the second time we met in the finals. I beat him in 16. He beat me in 19. But he really has gotten the better of me in early rounds. I think probably met in the semis at least 4 times, and he's won all of them. So I seem to give him a better match in 36 than I do in 18. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was the last time I was in the finals. Hamilton's kind of
taking over.
yeah. You got to be in the other bracket, and then you got to play him in 36, and probably got to beat Derek and Tommy and Larry to get there. So it's tough.
Like you said, it's like winning half of a amateur playing the club championship here. You got one more run in you though.
I hope so.
You gotta make one more run, one more Tiger.
If I could pick when it would be, I would like to do it in 2025 because I'll be in my 60s, and then I can say I won in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that's a tall order. I'm not getting any younger, but maybe with the bionic hip, I might be able to compete. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it anyway.
Absolutely, you gotta make one more run. We've talked about it through the interview or conversation. The state of golf in Rhode Island today is going to be as good as it's been. It feels like to me it's as good as it's been in a while.
Probably as good as it's ever been. I mean, if you look at the young kids, we've got 3 of them. We just talked about them trying to make the tours. Andrew and Patrick Welsh and Davis. And with the ultimate goal, obviously, to get to the big tour. But then you look at the Harry Dessel and Max Jackson playing some really good golf against all the established mid-ams. In the mid-am ranks, you've got Tyler Cook and Bobby Leopold and
Brad
Valoy
coming back.
and Larry and T-Mac and Mike Hamilton. 3 of our guys are. And Derek is playing some really good golf. So yeah, I'm keep naming the Kirkbrae guys. Have a little affinity for them, but Leopold is kind of proven to be a tough one to beat. He seems to be. He got the best of me over here, and the last time the amateur was here, he tuned me up in the second round. Another class act. So between the quality of golf, the quality of the guys, and then go to the seniors. This is a bunch of guys again that have been playing against each other our whole careers, and now we're just playing against playing a little bit up forward a little bit, but still a lot of them playing some really good golf. So I think it's in great shape.
2 years ago, Wanatami was a great when Paul Quigley and I think Doc Perry made the match play cut.
Yeah,
at the amateur. And then they almost won if I remember correctly, they almost won their first round matches. One of them gave Bobby a run, I think, and I don't know which one played who. I forgot, but those guys still play at high level. Just when you think they're done,
you won't find 2 more competitive MFs than those 2. The great guys too, and super competitive. And I played against them my whole career. Never played Doc in match play. I played Paul twice. I beat him once and he beat me once. He was a machine when he was in his prime, and he's not far out of it. He still hits it good. But when he was winning the 100 stroke plays in a row that he won, he's impossible to beat. He was just a machine. Great guy, great ambassador for Rhode Island golf, and just a real wise guy too. You got to love Paul Quigley.
All right, 2 questions, and I'll let you move on with your life. Thank you so much for doing this. One, what are your top 2 or 3 matches that you've played in that stick out? If you had to recount kind of your career, what are 2 or 3 matches, win or lose? I mean, certainly you can put the Tommy McCormick match in there if you want, that kind of stick out. They're like, that was friggin' awesome, or boy, I'm the friggin' man.
Yeah. Boy. the run I had in 99 in the Rhode Island Amateurs, against, in the second round, I played, no, in the quarters, I played Paul. That was a really good match. I beat Paul, I think 3-2. I didn't get to C17, which kind of cost me a little bit the second round, that day I played Tuthill. So that run, and if I think of the match that stands out in my life, that if you want to know every single shot, I can tell you, is the match in the semifinals that year against Ben Tuthill. He came out flat and I was playing great, and I built up maybe a 5-hole lead after 9. He birdied 11, made like a 40-footer for par out of nowhere on 12, and I had a 4-footer to now, I thought, to win the hole before he putted, and now the 4-footer was to tie, and I missed it. We both almost eagled 13, and we both birdied it. I had a good up and down on 14, and we both birdied 15. Get to 16, 2 up with 3 to go. I hit 3 fairways, I hit 3 greens, I made 3 pars, and lost the match. And Ben's putts, the putt he had on 16, he was back right at Triggs, and the pin was front left, and I had about an 18-footer straight in birdie putt from a little below the hole. And my caddy, Steve Plays at the time, said, this probably to win the match, and then Ben hit his putt, and it's going along the top of the green and makes the turn, and it's got some speed. He said, well, you might be able to 2-putt to win the match. It hits the back of the hole, jumps up about a foot, and then goes down. So birdie, I missed my putt, hit a decent putt, didn't go in. 17, he had about, I don't know, 40 feet, and he and his caddy, Mickey Hogan, misread it, but he also mishit it. So he walked after it as soon as he mishit it, because he knew he missed it. And it wasn't a walk after, like, oh, damn, he's walking after it.
Right.
He also misread it, rolled into the middle of the hole, and won that hole with a birdie. I had already putted. I was outside of him. I hit it close. He conceded the par. And we get on 18, and got distracted over my second shot, and I hit a really good drive. I didn't hit a very good wedge in there. I had probably about 45 feet. Ben had a really poor drive out to the right and hit it about 46 feet, about 44 feet, right in my line. So I putted first, hit a pretty good putt. It didn't go in, it rolled about 5 feet by. And now Ben's putting, and you would expect him to 2-putt, and you expect me to have to make this 5-footer to force sudden death now. And I said to my caddy, I said, God, out of all all this work, these 5 days, and he said, just shut up. You have stroked it beautifully. You haven't missed. Just get up and knock that in like you've been doing for all week. And it didn't matter, because Ben rolled in his 45-footer and won the match, 1 up. So you can't tell, I have that was burned in memory. That is, if I have to pick one match, the Tommy McCormick match was another one. If I have to ask for 3, the next one has to be a club championship final against Dr. Cav. He played great in the morning, made everything he looked at, shot even par. Didn't play awesome. I played okay, but I probably was 5 over maybe, and he was 5 up after 18 holes. So we come in for breakfast in between the morning round and the second round, which probably teed off at 11. And I went out on the putting green and figured something out. I was stopping I wasn't following through properly. I figured it out and just went out and started rolling everything in. And I won 10 of the next 14 holes and won the match 5 and 4 after being 5 down. And we got to the 9th hole, we were even. So I had spun him on the first 9 of the second 18, won that 9, 5 up. And after all that, we're on the 10th tee. I'm like, why did we do all that? We just could have come out here and played 9 holes. And then I won. I birdied 10, 11, and 12. He bogeyed 13 and 14, and that was it. But it was a fun match against a good friend. Those are the 3, I guess I would say, the really special.
It's amazing how all you guys have like this shot recollection, like right down to a T. It's pretty all you do, even the pros too, obviously, but it's pretty cool to listen to. All right, last one. You told me to ask this question
Oh,
of
boy.
people on my podcast. So guess what? You're
Oh,
getting
boy.
the first
Here
one.
we go.
You're getting the first one. Top 5 courses in Rhode Island. We already know what number 1 is.
Yeah.
But top 5 courses in Rhode Island. Go.
I figured you'd ask me this. So yeah, for me,
It's your own
on a
fault.
scale of 1 to 10, Newport's an 11. So it's number 1 for me. Tied for second at probably 10's Rhode Island Country Club and Wannamoisett. This is a dynamic thing because it's not, 10 years ago, we don't have Metacomet anymore.
Mhm.
20 years ago, we didn't have the Equidnet Club. We didn't have Newport National.
Shelter Harvard.
We didn't have Shelter. We had Metacomet. We don't know. So today,
Right.
Metacomet would always have been on my top 5 or maybe 6th. Now it's Warwick Country Club and Triggs. Those are so I've got four Donald Ross courses, 3 Seaside courses. The common theme with all of those golf courses is shot value. They're not a golf course, that you can just scrape it around and shoot a good score. You have to hit the ball where you have to hit it. You have to shape the ball into the greens and hit the part of the green that you have to hit the ball and move it to the hole. If you go firing at pins at Newport, at Rhode Island, at Wannamoisett, Warwick, another, especially a little less so at Triggs, but those 4, if you go firing at pins, you're not going to be anywhere near, probably won't be on the green. You have to funnel the ball. You have to work the ball. They put a premium on ball striking and being able to read and stroke your putts on the line. But those are I'm making I'm justifying my picks, but those are mine. And this, honorable mention, I would probably go with Sakonnet and Shelter, another Donald Ross course. And Shelter is just a magnificent place. It's not steeped in history like some of the others. And Newport is arguably the home of golf in the United States. It's held the first U.S. Open, the first USAM. It held
US Senior Open next year.
Yeah, it's held a number of USGA championships. When Theodore Havemeyer went over to France and saw these Europeans playing this odd game, he brought it back to the United States and was one of the oldest clubs and the founding members of the USGA. So it's not only that history and tradition, it happens to it's the north-south hole orientation. It's the ocean right there. It's tucked in this corner of Newport, the playground of the richest of the rich, and especially in the Gilded Age. It's and 18 just magnificent golf holes that change from 10 in the morning to 11 in the morning, depending on the wind. And so those are mine. I'm curious to see what others say. I can't imagine too many guys will have Newport, Rhode Island, and Wannamoisett not in their top 5. They're just special places.
Yeah, I've only played Newport once. I was lucky enough to play it last year, and I played Shelter a bunch of years ago. My favorite course to play, we've talked about this, is Wannamoisett, just I played there a lot and the history there. But again, the caveat is I've only played Newport once and Shelter once a long time ago. So it's not like I have a lot to go on. But anytime you get to play any of those places, at least for me, you get to play them all the time. It's always a treat.
Yeah, arguing about what's better, Wannamoisett or Newport or Shelter is like arguing which Sports Illustrated model is prettier than the other one. It's like they're all awesome. So it's just an opinion, and we're skewed by the way the course suits our eye. I try not to be. I try to be objective, but I play those 5 golf courses better than I play a lot of others, and I don't play Sakonnet particularly well. But it's just such a magnificent piece of property and 18 beautiful holes. It's just off my probably 6th, right?
Awesome. Listen, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun. You're right. Thank you.
Of course. Anytime.
All right.
We'll have you back on for part 2 one day.
All right.
Win the next club championship. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. This is the Golf Dudes podcast. Stay tuned to GolfNewsRI.com all weekend long. We're tracking Vinny Papa down at the Nota Big A Junior Girls National Championship, and we're tracking Bobby Leopold at the Devil's Elbow Mid-Am Invitational. Say that 5 times fast. And the winner of that gets the PGA Tour start, amazingly. So,
Wow, cool.
so we're tracking that all weekend long on golfnewsri.com, and we'll talk to you there. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And again, thanks for all your continued support and for tuning in. Peace.
Bye, everyone.